Welcome to Hey Therapist. I'm your host, Leslie Ross. With me is my producer, Jay Wesley Lindley. Let's get mental. We are back talking about attachment styles. This is our last one. The last one. We have made it to fearful attachment style. We have already talked about anxious and avoidant and secure and all the things that go into that. So we are on our last one. And this one is also known as disorganized. So fearful or disorganized, it's interchangeable depending on what paper you're reading. But it's when you have difficulty trusting people and your behavior is extremely inconsistent. So the fearful attachment style is a combination of avoidant and anxious. So it's kind of the perfect storm of those two. And even though research, I know, says that secure attachment is the most popular one, which remember, it's only most popular by like 66%. So that's really not a big percentage. I really feel like this is the one that I run into the most in life and in practice with clients. It's most commonly caused by neglect, abuse, or trauma, just like the others. But a child growing up in this setting may kind of have a fear for their caregiver. The fear could be just because they're a big spanker, or it could be more extreme cases of abuse. Maybe they're just a yeller. Maybe they're always in a bad mood. Maybe they take it out on them. But there is fear of the parent. It's fear of expressing emotions to them because it's not safe. And it's real confusing for kids because the parent is both comfort and fear. Remember, a shitty parent is still a parent. Like, this is one of the things I talk to people when they're dealing with like DHS cases or kids in the system, or when they're working on custody because one parent was really, really bad, is a shitty parent is still their parent. Like, kids do not understand that their parents are shitty until they get much older. They may not understand why they do the things. They may not understand why they're out there living that life. They may not understand why they can't get love from them, but they're internalizing that to the I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough, whatever it is. They're not looking at their parent going, wow, my parent's really shitty. They're out there just doing dope instead of being home with me. It's why won't they be home with me? Why don't they love me enough to be home with me? Why am I not good enough for them to love me? Why won't they quit that? Why won't they stop that? And it's internalized as for me because I'm not good enough. Like, why can't I be good enough for them to choose me? They're growing up with this fear. And when that primary caregiver is unpredictable or frightening, the child may learn to associate attachment with fear and anxiety. And it leads to this development of the disorganized, fearful attachment style. I think about some of the things that I've seen and heard in my life. And I had one parent that we were doing some intervention on. They had CPS was involved, all of these things. But one of the things that they didn't really even recognize is they were spanking their child. I mean, they were whooping this poor baby. Like, it was unnecessary, the amount and the strength that they were putting in this kiddo. But after they would whoop them like that, they would make the kid come hug them and tell them that they loved them. I understood their thought process of, I want them to understand they're in trouble, but I want them to know I still love them. But what you're teaching that child is to be in an abusive relationship, is to say it's okay for someone to be really terrible to you, and then you have to tell them you love them, or they want to tell you that they love you or give you physical attention. So you're just kind of setting your kid up for failure when it comes to some of these behaviors that you may have the best intention of, but we have to think about, what are we creating? Like, what am I teaching my kid by making them do that? And it's that pain is love. And that's not what you want your kid to understand. When a child is abused or harmed, they learn that the people they depend on most can also be the ones that hurt them. And it can lead to that sense of fear and mistrust, which makes it really difficult for them to form healthy attachments in adulthood. And when a child is neglected in any way, be it attention, emotional, physical, food, safety, security, whatever it is, it can lead to that sense of abandonment and insecurity, which can also make it difficult for them to form healthy attachments in adulthood. When that caregiver is so inconsistent in their behaviors, the child may learn to expect that their needs won't be met, or it's going to be met, but there's going to be side effects of it. It's going to be punitive in some way. And it leads to that difficulty to form healthy attachments in adulthood. And so this disorganized attachment style, this fearful attachment style, they are the true runners. In avoidant, you get this, and in anxious, you get this, but our fearfuls are the track stars. They are gonna run, and they may go all in the beginning, and it be wonderful, and that may rock on for a little while, and then that internal system kicks in, and they feel like a caged animal, and they're afraid of what might happen negatively, so they pull the escape hatch. It's the person that will hurt you. I'm going to hurt you first. I'm going to hurt you before you can hurt me. Even though it hurts me to hurt you, I'm going to hurt you before you can hurt me because I'm in control of the hurt. And they have a hard time controlling those emotions. They have a hard time understanding what's going on because their emotions are big. And it may seem out of place, like they may be lashing out when you're trying to get close, or they may be expressing a lot of things that you don't understand, and it's very contradictory. They may be all in, but they're also pulling away. And so it creates a high level of anxiety within themselves and their partners because they're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And their partners are always waiting them to run or to do something that makes you go, hold on, come back. What's happening? Let's talk about this. Like I said, it's that mixture of the avoidant and the anxious style. Personality disorders and depression usually go along with the fearful attached, and also substance use disorders, because the fearfully attached, this disorganized attachment style, it really creates a lot of turmoil within someone. And sometimes they deal with those escapes with substances, whatever it is, alcohol, gambling, porn, whatever they're using to escape their mind. The fearfully attached, they may also disassociate their feelings, their thoughts, their memories in a way of coping with that fear and anxiety. Like we talked about before, you have to be realistic of where you came from. Your parents may have been a little terrible, and you don't want to say that because you love your parents, all of that nonsense, whatever, fine, you love your parents. But that doesn't mean they were great parents. It doesn't mean they did a good job. And sometimes we have to just accept that, understand that, and move forward. You don't have to love them any less, but you need to understand that piece of them so you can understand that piece of you. Our disorganized, fearful, attached people, they may also engage in some self-destructive behaviors. And that could include some substance abuse. It could include self-harm. Again, it's just that way of being in control. They want to be in control of the pain. And so they make their choices and decide what that looks like for them. They're very unpredictable, very volatile, and they have some confusing behaviors. They could almost be clingy, then just standoffish. Like you could be all in, you're like, oh, yay, look, it's lovey, lovey, lovey. And then the next day you're like, crickets. Like, what the hell happened? And it's because they got into their own head. They are seeking love, but are going to push it away because they're so scared of it. Whatever side you're on, it's painful. And because their internal struggle of wanting to be loved, but fearing rejection, and you want to love them and make them love you, it's like, get out of your own way so I can love you. Stop doing some shit. So just let me love you. Like, damn it. Like, just stop and let me love you. But they're pulling away and they're coming in, and then they'll pull away. So it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's what you're going to get in the fearfully attached. You do want to really be mindful of what's going through your head. You pay attention to what thoughts are going through your head. And if you notice that you're feeling that fearful, anxious, or disassociating when things are going on, tune in. Be present with yourself. Be present in that emotion. Know that this person that you're probably with is someone you can trust and who values you and wants you to be, happy and healthy in a relationship, and you don't have to run away from it. Like you may not have the self-esteem you want. You may not have the best life you want. You may not have the best job that you ever want. But if that person that you're with is okay with that and they love you anyway, you don't have to beat yourself up for it. The fearfully attached will get in their own head about a lot of things and say, but when I'm this, when I'm that, when I make it, when I have a better job, when I have this under control, when I'm this age, when I'm this things, instead of just going, okay, I'm in. Like, let's see what happens. And it may end. It may not go well, but it might. And if you have a partner that is healthy and securely attached, then they can help you move through some of these things if you want that. And it can be a very safe space for you, for a fearfully attached person to be with someone who has secure attachment style, because they'll be patient with you, even though they know how scared you are. And you want to work to challenge those negative beliefs about yourself and about others, because again, remember, we're distrusting of everyone and we don't feel like we're worthy and all of that. So we want to stop and ask ourselves, is there any evidence to support this? Ask yourself when you're in your head, when, oh, it's not going to end well. They're going to hurt me. They're going to do this. What evidence do you have of that? Have they hurt you? Have they broke your trust before? Have they done something that made you feel a certain way? Have you talked about that? Do they understand that they did that? All of those things need to come into play. And you need to accept that part of yourself. And if you understand your attachment style, any of these that we've talked about over the past few weeks, it's easier to help someone else understand you. And with this disorganization, you may could say, listen, I may pull away, I may do this, but what I need from you is, and it may be I need space because I got to regroup. Not that I don't care about you, but I need to take a day. I need to not have this title, but I want to be in this with you. I don't want to date other people, but I also don't want to be called your boyfriend or girlfriend, like whatever it is. And you can say yes or no. Like you have the option to give that compassion and give that patience. You want to be mindful in your relationships. And when you know you react a certain way, challenge it, adapt, compromise. Seek out those positive relationships. If you know you're with someone who you can't trust, again, why are you with them? What are you doing? Life is too short. Like keep it moving. But it is one of those challenging styles. It's hard to know what style is best for you. But when you're the fearful or disorganized attachment style, you got a little bit of two things working. So you have to deal with different things on different levels. And, working to be aware of your thoughts, working to think about your past relationships and understanding what it means to you, what the next person is doing, what you want out of life. If you want to be in that relationship and you're with someone who says, okay, let's figure it out, then you open that communication and you slowly inch your way out of the fearful shell, and you'll find that there are people out there you can trust, and there are people out there who are going to take care of you. And it's the same with any attachment style. I think you have to grow from it. You have to understand it. Even if you're a securely attached person, you probably have some things that you're doing that aren't super healthy, and you may not recognize you're doing it. And that's why it's so important when you're in a relationship or friendship, whatever type of relationship it is, that you look at your patterns, that you figure out what's happening. And when they fail, we don't automatically take it personally, because that's unrealistic. If it's anything that there is more than yourself involved in, then you don't get to take it personally right off the bat, because two people played a role in that. Two people with their own histories, with their own lenses, with their own beliefs, all of that came into play. And sometimes it just doesn't click up at the time. And sometimes it doesn't make for a great friendship, relationship, partnership, whatever it is. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means it didn't work. So figure out which attachment style you are. Figure out how you want to work to change that, because we should all be growing and changing. Don't be stagnant in your life and your emotions, because where's the fun in that? Like, keep changing and growing. figure out how you communicate with someone and what's important to you. And we're going to get into those in the next few episodes. We're going to talk about some love languages. So that's going to be coming up for you. So we can learn about our attachment styles. Then we can learn about our love language, what makes us feel good, what we do to make other people feel good. And by the end of this, you're going to be great at relationships. That's the goal, right? We want to be great at relationships. For my producer, Jay Lindley, I'm Leslie Ross. Thank you all for joining us. Please send any questions or comments through the website, heytherapist.com, or email help@heytherapist.com. They may be featured on the show anonymously. Hey Therapist is an SEOK radio production and is for your entertainment purposes only. Thank you for joining us. Make good choices.